Doppelganger. A doppelganger or doppelganger is a biologically unrelated lookalike, or a double, of a living person. In fiction and mythology, a doppelganger is often portrayed as a ghostly or paranormal phenomenon and is usually seen as a harbinger of bad luck. Other traditions and stories equate a doppelganger with an evil twin. In modern times, the term twin stranger is occasionally used. The word doppelganger is often used in a more general and neutral sense, and in slang, to describe any person who physically resembles another person. Mythology. English speakers have only recently applied this German word to a paranormal concept. Francis Gross's Provincial Glossary of 1787 used the term fetch instead, defined as the apparition of a person living. Catherine Crowe's book on paranormal phenomena, The Night Side of Nature, 1848, helped make the German word well known. However, the concept of alter egos and double spirits has appeared in the folklore, myths, religious concepts, and traditions of many cultures throughout human history. This is a common misunderstanding. In ancient Egyptian mythology, a ka was a tangible spirit double having the same memories and feelings as the person to whom the counterpart belongs. The Greek princess presents an Egyptian view of the Trojan War in which a ka of Helen misleads Paris, helping to stop the war. This mimic sense also appears in Euripides' play Helen, and in Norse mythology, a verdogger is a ghostly double who is seen performing the person's actions in advance. In Finnish mythology, this pattern is described as having an etiäinen, a first comer. The doppelganger is a version of the Anku, which is a personification of death that appears in Breton, Cornish, and Norman folklore. Examples of alleged doppelgangers. John Donne. Isaac Walton claimed that John Donne, the English metaphysical poet, saw his wife's doppelganger in 1612 in Paris, on the same night as the stillbirth of their daughter. This account first appears in the edition of the Life of Dr. Rizwan Rising published in 1675 and is attributed to a person of honor, who told me with such circumstances and such asseveration, that I verily believe he that told it to me, did himself believe it to be true. 2 days after their arrival there, Mr. Donne was left alone in that room in which Sir Robert and he and some other friends had dinner together. Sir Robert returned in half an hour, and as he left, he found Mr. Donne alone, but in such ecstasy, and so altered in appearance, Sir Robert was astounded to behold him in so much that he earnestly desired Mr. Donne to declare what had befallen him in the short time of his absence. Mr. Donne was not able to make a present answer, but, after a long and perplexing pause, he finally said, "I have seen a dreadful vision since I saw you. I have seen my dear wife pass twice by me through this room, with her hair hanging about her shoulders, and a dead child in her arms. This I have seen since I saw you." To which Sir Robert replied, "Sure, sir, you have slept since I saw you, and this is the result of some melancholy dream, which I desire you to forget, for you are now awake." To which Mr. Donne's reply was, "I cannot be sure that I now live, then that I have not slept since I saw you, and I am assured that at her second appearance, she stopped, looked me in the face, and vanished." This is a common misunderstanding. R.C. Bald and R.E. Bennett questioned the veracity of Walton's account. Percy Bysshe Shelley. On July 8, 1822, the English poet Percy Bysshe Shelley drowned in the Bay of Spezia near Lerici, Italy. On August 15, while staying in Pisa, Percy's wife, Mary Shelley, an author and editor, wrote a letter to Maria Gisborne in which she relayed Percy's claims to her that he had met his own doppelganger. A week after Mary's nearly fatal miscarriage, in the early hours of June 23, Percy had had a nightmare about the house collapsing in a flood, and also, he told me the next morning that he had had many visions recently. He had seen a figure of himself who met him as he walked on the terrace and asked him, "How long do you mean to be content?" These are very terrific words, and certainly not prophetic of what has occurred. But Shelley had often seen these figures when ill, but the strangest thing is that Mrs. Williams saw him. Jane, despite her sensibility, lacks imagination and is not the least bit nervous, in dreams or otherwise. She was standing one day, the day before I was taken ill, June 15th, at a window that looked out onto the terrace at Trelawney. It was a day Shelley, she noticed, passed by the window without a coat or jacket, as he often did at the time. He passed again, as he passed both times the same way, and as from the side towards which he went each time, there was no way to get back except past the window again, except over a wall 20 feet from the ground. She was struck by seeing him pass twice. She cried, "Good God! Could Shelley have leapt from the wall? Or could he be gone?" Shelley said to Trelawney, "No, Shelley has passed." "What do you mean?" Trelawney says that she trembled exceedingly when she heard this, and that it proved indeed that Shelley had never been on the terrace and was far off at the time she saw him. Percy Shelley's drama Prometheus Unbound, 1820, contains the following passage in Act 1, "Ere Babylon was dust, Slash the mega Zoroaster, my dead child. Slash met his own image walking in the garden. Slash that apparition, soul of men, he saw. Slash for no there are two worlds of life and death : slash one that which thou beholdest, but the other slashes underneath the grave, where do inhabit slash the shadows of all forms that think and live slash till death unite them and they part no more. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Near the end of book 11 of his autobiography, Dichtung und Wahrheit, Poetry and Truth 1811 to 1833, Goethe wrote, almost in passing: amid all this pressure and confusion I could not forego seeing Frederica once more. Those were painful days, the memory of which has not remained with me. When I reached her my hand from my horse, the tears stood in her eyes, and I felt very uneasy. I now rode along the footpath toward Drusenheim, and here one of the most singular forebodings took possession of me. I saw, not with the eyes of the body, but with those of the mind, my own figure coming toward me, on horseback, and on the same road, attired in a dress which I had never worn. It was pike gray, echt grau, with somewhat of gold. As soon as I shook myself out of this dream, the figure had entirely disappeared. It is strange, however, that, 8 years afterward, I found myself on the very road to pay one more visit to Frederica, in the dress of which I had dreamed, and which I wore, not from choice, but by accident. However, it may be with matters of this kind generally, this strange illusion in some measure calmed me at the moment of parting. The pain of quitting forever noble Alsace, with all I had gained in it, was softened, and, having, at last, escaped the excitement of a farewell, on a peaceful and quiet journey, pretty well regained my self-possession. This is an example of a doppelganger that was perceived by the observer to be both benign and reassuring. George Tryon. A Victorian age example was the supposed appearance of Vice Admiral Sir George Tryon. He was said to have walked through the drawing room of his family home in Eaton Square, London, looking straight ahead without exchanging a word with anyone, in front of several guests at a party being given by his wife on June 22, 1893, while he was supposed to be on a ship of the Mediterranean Squadron, maneuvering off the coast of Syria. Subsequently, it is reported that he had gone down with his ship, HMS Victoria, on the very same night, after it collided with HMS Camperdown following an unexplained and bizarre order to turn the ship in the direction of the other vessel. Twin strangers. With the advent of social media, there have been several reported cases of people finding their twin stranger online, a modern term for a doppelganger. There are several websites where users can upload a photo of themselves, and facial recognition software attempts to match them with another user of like appearance. Some of these sites report that they have found numerous living doppelgangers.